In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was blurry.
Eyeglasses. We're talking about eyeglasses.
Yes, hello everyone, and welcome to Thingamajigs, the exciting history of mundane things.
I'm Danielle.
And I am Ben.
And as we've stated, we're going to talk about eyeglasses.
So tell me about them. What's their deal?
Eyeglasses have actually been around a lot longer than I originally thought. I find this happens quite often, that something has been around longer than I thought. But they haven't been so widely used as they are now. Most of the time, if you had a problem with your eyes, you were farsighted and needed help with things close up. These things usually developed in older age or presbyopia. And myopia is when you can see close up but not far away. Simply, nearsightedness was just not as a common problem. So when we talk about eyeglasses, for the most part, we're going to talk about reading glasses.
Neat. I have some of those.
Yes, you do. And you're not even old yet.
Well, to be fair, I've needed glasses for a long time, but my prescription has gotten so much better because I'm just that good.
Whatever.
All I need is reading glasses.
Brag.
To get by.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Why was nearsightedness not an issue as much as it is today?
That is exactly what I was thinking.
Well, we spend more time indoors and do more work up close. Close-up work in less light causes eye muscles to contract over time and affecting the shape of the eye. I found some surprising research in a June 2017 issue of Psychology Today. Children who live in societies where the children spend more time outside have lower instances of myopia than children who live in societies where the children spend more time indoors.
So, kids who are outside more are less often nearsighted, right?
Yes.
I feel like that's kind of expected. I feel like we all subconsciously knew that, but it's nice to know there's research behind it.
There is. I didn't put a lot of information about it, but it has to do with the sun. You need sunlight. Other research of the Inuit people found that Inuit people who stuck to a traditional lifestyle had fewer vision problems than the people who chose to move into a more modern lifestyle. There's also the idea that now that we don't rely on our vision for hunting and gathering, and also we aren't dying off because we can't see that snake or bear or hole in the ground, maybe that is why it is becoming more prevalent. There's also the idea that glasses cause people to perceive you as intelligent, and as we'll see as we go on, wealthy, because not everyone could read or afford them. Glasses made you a more desirable partner.
Nice.
I'm very desirable. I have like 4 pairs of glasses.
Oh yeah. The thicker the lenses, the more I'm looking at you, baby.
Ooh. Fun fact, the word lens is based on the Latin word lentil, which is a legume.
I know those.
Yeah. It's convex on both sides and like many lenses.
I like lentil soup.
I also enjoy lentil soup. Now, as I said, for the most part, we were trying to fix weakening eyes due to old age, so the first solution to this problem was a reading stone.
A reading stone?
Which was a polished piece of crystal or glass that they sat on paper, and you moved it over the text, and the convex top enlarged the print.
So it's like those little plastic magnifier things that old people use. They set them on their important papers.
Except without like the cute little light that you'd turn on.
They didn't have LEDs back then.
No.
Crazy.
Unfortunately.
Stone Ages, man.
We discovered a lens that dated around 8th century in the Assyrian palace Nimrud, which is modern-day Iraq, but it's unclear whether this lens was used for a magnifying glass or might have been used as a tool for lighting fires or maybe just decorative. Nonetheless, it was a lens.
It's probably used for burning up ants.
All those 8th century kids being hooligans.
Oh, it couldn't have just been the kids back then. That was cutting edge technology. All the noblemen were out there like, look at this one.
You could get like your ants together and see who can burn the ants the fastest.
The ant games. I like this concept. They're like This ant hasn't been burnt yet.
I don't think many ants are gonna withstand magnified light.
Well, their magnifiers weren't that good.
They were causing fires. Obviously, they were doing something. It's not exactly clear when the first spectacles were invented, but we know they came out of Italy because there was a sermon delivered by a friar in the Italian city of Pisa.
I know that place. That's the place with all the leaning pizzas.
No, it's the place with the leaning tower.
Of pizzas.
No.
No?
Although I'm sure that's a tourist attraction.
The Leaning Tower of Pizzas in Pisa. I'd go there.
In the 1290s, there was a piece of writing that said, "It is not yet 20 years since there was found the art of making eyeglasses, which makes for good vision." We also see eyeglasses being pictured in Renaissance paintings, so we kind of have a good idea of when they were becoming popular among people who could afford paintings of themselves.
Everything got popular in the Renaissance.
Their use was still rare and usually were among monks. Glasses were used for reading, and very few people could read. It was kind of a problem.
Dum-dums.
Hey now. They were good at other things, like horses and planting and carrying buckets of water to their homes. Their very, very dry homes.
I'm pretty sure I said something in the last episode about how I didn't learn to read until I was like 16 or something. Whatever that joke was, so I guess I can't really comment on it.
The invention of the printing press in 1440 did increase the literacy rate, giving glasses a larger audience. The first specialist spectacle shop opened in Frostburg in 1466. Up until now, those were all convex lenses for reading, but the first known use of concave lenses for nearsightedness was created for Pope Leo X in the 16th century. He was extremely nearsighted, and he liked to hunt, so something had to be done for him.
Oof. Bad combination. Went from reading all of his popely documents to handling firearms.
It's also important to mention that for the most part, these spectacles were set in frames made of wood or metal or even animal bone. The thing that everything was made out of was metal or wood or animal bone.
Toothbrushes, glasses, everything else.
And for the most part, had to be held up to the face. So they had to pick their glasses up and hold them up and do their reading.
Like those cute little opera binoculars.
Yes, very, very similar to that.
Nice.
Some did have ribbons to tie to the face, and then some pinched to the bridge of the nose. I can't imagine that those were very comfortable, but...
Yeah, I like the ribbon idea better. You could pick a fun color or pattern. That'd be cute.
The problem with the ribbon, and this is just me speculating, haha. You need some space between you and the lenses, and if you tie them to your face, I feel like it's going to distort. They would be too close to your face, I feel like. But again, I wasn't there.
Well, as long as you don't need to use your peripheral vision.
In 1727, English obstetrician and instrument maker Edward Scarlett first invented an eyeglass frame with ear hooks that looked very similar to the modern arms on our glasses today.
You go, you hookers.
Oh my goodness. Then bifocals were invented in 1760s by Benjamin Franklin. There are some who claim bifocals predates Benjamin Franklin, but for the most part, everyone agreed that bifocals should be credited to Benjamin Franklin.
No, they probably predate him. I don't trust Benjamin Franklin.
I know, you have some problems with Benjamin Franklin.
He seems like an Edison type, and I feel ways about Edison.
Well, he suffered far and nearsightedness, and what he did to fix that was he cut two different lenses and put them together in one frame.
And that's bifocals.
But the term bifocals actually didn't get coined until 1827 when trifocal lenses were invented, which was for distance, intermediate, and near, by John Isaac Hawkins. I did not know that these existed.
I didn't either. That's weird. But Benjamin Franklin was sitting there. He was like, trifocals. Man, that was way better than my Franklin's double-lensed ocular corrective device.
How many words can we get in this title? The next big invention was by a Sir George Bibbel Airy in 1825. He invented a lens that corrected astigmatism, which, do you know what astigmatism is? I know we kind of throw this word around all the time.
Yeah, I heard somebody say it in a Disney Channel movie once, and it meant that their eyes were dumb.
No. It's an irregular curvature of the cornea that can cause blurred vision at any distance.
Oh.
Or dumb eyes.
Yeah, dumb eyes.
I have dumb eyes. I'm allowed to say that.
Okay. So I was like 6 at the time, so, it might not have been exactly what they said, but I'm pretty sure it was dumb eyes.
In the early 20th century, optician Moritz von Rohe and Karl Zeiss invented a Zeiss punctal. It's a spherical lens which made it possible for the wearer to see clearly when looking through the peripheral areas of the lens. Prior to this, people had to turn their heads so the object they wanted to see was in the center of the lens.
So they didn't need their peripheral vision. The ribbon was great.
This was the final step in glasses being what we know today. In 1888, we see the first contact lens invented by German ophthalmologist Adolf Fick. This is going to become very uncomfortable for anyone who has whatever that phobia is, where you can't touch your eyeball or you can't talk about your eyes or things going into your eyes where your eyes water.
Oh gosh, where are we going?
It was technically the first practical contact lens, but the heavy glass-blown lens could only be worn for a few hours and it covered the whole eye.
Oh, so it was... Oh, no.
Hang on, it gets worse. Kevin M. Toohey in 1948 patented a lens that only covered the cornea, and it was made of an acrylic glass.
So they were like, we need to stop sticking these big old chunks of glass in our eyes. Let's grab these big old chunks of plastic and stick them in there.
Over the whole cornea. In your eye.
Very cool.
Supposedly they were comfortable enough to wear up to 16 hours, which is way longer than I wear mine.
They probably said the same thing about corsets.
These are good for you. So you know how we call Perfect Vision 2020?
Yeah.
Apparently, almost everywhere else uses 6.6.
6.6.
Mm-hmm.
Both of these seem weird. How did we get those numbers?
I don't know. I did not look into that. I mean, it's so ubiquitous that 2020 vision. I mean, remember that joke when we said, what's going to happen next year? I don't know. I don't have 2020 vision.
Knee slapper. Yeah, I do remember that.
But I didn't look into why we call it 2020.
Those poor guys overseas could only make that joke once, and it was about 2,000 years ago.
So let's transition to sunglasses, and we are going to do that by first talking about transition lenses.
I see what you transition into. Clever.
It's more fun than photochromic lenses.
Yeah, that's not fun at all.
In 1940, a research team at a subsidiary of what was then called Pittsburgh Plate Glass Company, or PPG as we will refer to it from now on, developed CR39 monomer. This material was used during World War II to line fuel tanks of military bombers to protect the tanks from bullet impacts. When the war was over, they were left with a pretty substantial quantity of CR39, so PPG asked its chemists to explore other uses for the product, which eventually, by the mid-1950s, led to lens makers using the monomer to produce eyeglass lenses. In the 1960s, Corning Incorporated...
I know them.
Are you going to say that every time I bring up someone that you know?
Yes.
Okay.
Makes me look smart.
Well, they became the first company to develop photochromic eyeglass lenses, which were marketed under the PhotoGray brand. In 1973, PPG began experimenting with applying photochromic technology to CR39. In the 1980s, PPG discovered a new family of photochromics, the blue pyridobenzoxazine. They eventually succeeded in 1988, and in 1989, the lenses were test marketed under the Transition trademark. They partnered with Essilor, Essilor,
Essilor?
which is a European ophthalmic company. It's a French company.
We know how to speak French. You taught me in like the first episode.
Essilor. PPG and Essilor moved forward with Transition Optical Incorporated, with 51% owned by PPG and 49% owned by Essilor. People increasingly began to choose the plastic lenses over the glass because they were lighter and more comfortable, which I'm pretty sure... I don't know what my glasses are made of.
I think they're plastic.
I know that they're pretty thick. They're still heavy because they're so thick, and I enjoy very large glasses. I like my whole vision to be covered in lens.
Like them big old lady glasses.
Yeah, I do. I really do. I'm glad that big frames are in style. I hope they never go out of... I hope the little tiny metal frame glasses never come back in.
I don't know. Fashion has been very cyclical, and we're like moving into the 90s right now, I think. Maybe the late 80s. So in like 10 years you're gonna be an old lady again.
It's okay. I've been one since I was like 8. When my mom took me to the eyeglass store and said, "What of these do you like?" And I said, "I like these ones, Mommy." And I put on the biggest pair of glasses I could find.
Charming.
My first pair of glasses were metal framed because my mom picked them out. But the first pair that I picked were plastic, and I loved them. And they were always a fun color.
Yeah, I remember when they had fun colors and you were never allowed to look at them.
Why?
I think they were more expensive. That was why my parents would always keep me away from the fun colored glasses.
I remember always being taken to this wall of glasses, and I could only pick from this wall of glasses because that was the wall that was covered by our insurance.
Nice. Yeah, we probably had a similar situation because whenever I had to wear glasses all the time, I pretty much had the same exact frames from, I want to say, 4 years old to 14 years old. It was not very stylish.
I've seen pictures. You were so cute, though.
Ew, no.
So I have a really simple explanation of how the transition lenses worked.
Lay it on me. What's their deal?
Silver halide crystals were added to molten glass and would cause the finished glass to darken in reaction to the UV light in just a few minutes. It would achieve maximum darkness in about 15 minutes. Now, these early lenses didn't always perform ideally because if your prescription called for one of your lenses to be thicker than the other, then the thicker lens would darken more quickly and would even be darker than the thinner lens. After the lenses were finished transitioning, you would have...
You have like one black lens and one almost black lens.
Yeah, I can't imagine it was very attractive.
No, that had to like mess with your vision.
Like, you know, people who have different colored eyes.
Yeah.
It probably was a little unsettling to look at. Or just something is not right with your glasses. However, in the 45 years since the photochromic lenses were introduced, advances in lens material and manufacturing have significantly improved. Photochromics are now available in prescription and non-prescription eyewear, such as goggles and even face shields for motorcycle helmets.
That's really cool. I like that.
There are 4 different manufacturing processes, but they were really long and really boring and no goofs were found, so I left them out. But if you really want to know, you can look them up for yourself.
Report back to us with a layman's explanation of all of the scientific formulae.
It was a lot of chemistry. So, now that we're done transitioning, we're going to move into sunglasses.
I know those.
Okay.
Everyone needs to know exactly how much I know.
We find the first sunglasses
I know those.
Prehistoric times. Do you know that too? Do you know what prehistoric times?
Yeah, that's when there was dinosaurs.
It's a vague term for the time frame before recorded history. The Inuits were the first to at least cover their eyes with the intention of protecting them from the sun. And the way they did this was with a piece of walrus ivory carved into a loosely eye-shaped design with slits for peering through, just enough to see but cutting out the glare, and then tied to the face with straps of leather.
If you've seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, the TV show, it's the little glasses that the people in the desert was wearing.
Well, there's a piece of deep cut for you. I guess it's not that deep. Avatar's pretty widely
You'd have to remember one very specific moment in 1.5 episodes.
Okay, so maybe it is.
Yeah. So the guys who stole Appa in the desert, you know the ones.
They could also be made of bone or caribou antler or wood as well, like we've talked about. If it was a hard material, it was probably used to make something. It was probably used to make all the things. A more accurate word for these would be sun goggles. If you've ever been in a very snowy region, you know how badly they needed this because of snow blindness.
It's so bright out there.
It is. It's incredibly bright. You feel ridiculous, especially me who comes from a southern state. When I think of sunglasses, I think of heat, being on the beach, the sun, it feels warm, it's hot. And then you go somewhere cold and it's freezing and everything is so bright and you're in your snowsuit and you've got sunglasses on and it just doesn't make sense in my brain.
Hey, why are you wearing those? This isn't a beach.
Sunglasses should go with big floppy hats. You would look ridiculous in a big floppy hat and a snowsuit and sunglasses.
I don't know. That might be pretty hot. That's a trend. That's a trendsetter right there.
All right, well, catch me with my big floppy hat skiing down a snowy mountain and probably losing my hat.
It's the next big thing.
The inventors of sunglasses with lenses like we know today was, of course, the Chinese.
They invented everything.
They invented everything. In the 12th century, they used smoky quartz for the lenses, but they didn't use them necessarily for sun protection. They were actually for the judges in their court system to help them hide their emotions. They wanted to seem impartial and expressionless in the courtroom.
In ancient China, they invented sunglasses for their poker face. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Fascinating.
Was that a Lady Gaga reference?
No, I just developed a really bad stutter for a half a second.
Okay. Pliny the Elder wrote in his Natural History that Roman Emperor Nero used to watch the gladiator fights through polished gemstones to reduce the glare from the sun. It was claimed they were made of emeralds, but the ancient Romans were not able to precisely distinguish some minerals, so they generally called beautiful green stones emeralds, and the same with red being rubies and blue as sapphires. But I think that we all agreed that they were made with polished green lenses.
It's crazy. Amazon does the same thing with their gemstones.
Is that a joke?
Yes. Look at this beautiful sapphire and silver necklace.
Oh, I get it. And it's fraudulent because it's not actually an emerald.
Yes.
It's like a piece of green glass.
Yes.
Around 1752, James Ayscough, an English optician, began experimenting with tinted spectacles. He believed that the green and blue lenses would help with some vision impairments. It's not clear whether he was trying to help colorblind people, but I know that green lenses create high contrast. But again, I couldn't find anything claiming that he was trying to invent colorblind corrective lenses.
He might have just been crazy.
Maybe. If you work on one project long enough, you are going to end up crazy.
Oh, I know.
In the 1800s, a different demographic of people discovered sunglasses. People with syphilis.
Yay.
In part, this was due to the disease causing light sensitivity, but it's also because there were some sunglasses specifically made for them that had metal nose pieces between the frames that hid their rotting nostril tissue that the disease could cause.
That's hot.
I don't know how prevalent this was, but I found some instances where it was mentioned. I don't think that it was prescribed or anything, But there are pictures of them. You can see them. I just don't know how often it came up.
Can you call these people the first cyborgs?
I'm going to go with no. But please enlighten me on where you're going with this.
That's it. The first cyborgs definitely appeared in the definite year of definitely 1800.
Definitely. Now, as you can imagine, this did hurt the whole sunglasses image. For a brief time, they were associated with STIs and a sinful lifestyle. But that quickly changed in the 20th century when we start seeing movie stars wearing them to protect their eyes from the bright studio lights and flashing cameras. It also helps that penicillin was invented and those poor people suffering with syphilis actually had a cure instead of cyborg nose.
Yeah, you're coming around to that cyborg idea.
Once popular icons got their hands on a pair, they became the epitome of cool. Of course, that made everyone else want to wear them too. Marilyn Monroe popularized the cat eye shape, and Jackie Kennedy had the oversized roundish frames, which is what I prefer.
Glamorous.
Very glamorous. In 1929, Sam Foster began mass-producing sunglasses made from celluloid, which he began selling in Atlantic City, New Jersey, under the name Foster Grant. Fun fact about celluloid, it is very flammable.
Yes, it is. That's what they used to make film out of, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And those bad boys went up.
Polarized lenses, invented by Edwin H. Land in 1936. Yes, he is the founder of the Polaroid Corporation.
I know them.
Polarized, Polaroid. Anyway, they contained a special filter that blocks intensive light reflection off other surfaces like sand or water or snow. Ray-Ban, a glasses brand founded by American eye health company Bausch & Lomb, created an aviator-style sunglasses using polarized lenses that were widely used by the U.S. Air Force pilots during World War II. They went on sale to the public in 1937. And this is when we see function meeting fashion.
Fun fact about that, polarized glasses are great for pilots because it'll block all the sunlight reflecting off of the clouds and airplane and everything else. However, modern day pilots, I'm pretty sure, are not allowed to wear polarized lenses because the screens that in the cockpit have polarized filters on them. So if you look at them in the wrong way, you can't see what's on the screen.
That's a conundrum.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bummer.
You should always spring for polarized lenses. Think of them as sunscreen for your eyes. They can also help prevent cataracts. Blue eyes can be especially sensitive, so if you are a part of the 8% like me, do yourself a favor and stop buying gas station sunglasses that are only tinted lenses. Also, you will look very cool, like a mid-century noir film star.
Nice.
You can think of black and white movies with the women and the silky hair and the sunglasses saying something like, "I'm sorry, dear, I don't have time for you. I have to go smoke my 1940s cigarette out of my long cigarette holder."
And then you bust out the door and you hear the intense music playing and all the film grain around you and you say something in a voice like this, and then you walk away in the rain. Why are you still wearing those sunglasses? It's raining. You're an idiot.
Maybe he was protecting his eyes from the rain.
Goggles? Why do you wear goggles?
Again, with the goggles, they're too close to your face.
I feel safe in goggles. I'd wear some nice swimming goggles all day.
I know someone who keeps goggles in their kitchen, and she wears them when she's cutting onions.
That's a good idea.
I just wear contacts, and contacts protect my eyes when I don't get teary-eyed from onions. I can cut a lot of onions with contacts in, and it never affect me.
I had no idea that was a feature.
So go out there, put on your sunscreen, put on your polarized sunglasses.
And your floppy hat and your snowsuit.
You know, the sun is one of those things that if you get too much of, it will kill you. And if you don't get enough of it, it will kill you. The sun is great for your eyes. You can see further. The sun is bad for your eyes. You're going to get cataracts. the sun is going to give you skin cancer, or you don't have enough vitamin D.
Sun be like that, don't it?
We go blind with it, we go blind without it. There have been people who've gotten lost in caves, and if they're down there too long, you lose your eyesight. But also, if you stare directly into the sun for too long, you lose your eyesight.
Well, I believe that's going to do it for this week's episode. What are we going to be talking about next week?
I think we're gonna talk about diapers.
Ew. Gross.
No. We need them. Well, we'll get into it. We actually didn't need them as much as we thought.
Ooh. Teaser. I like that. Well, don't forget to grab a goose and buy some focals. I'm Ben.
And I'm Danielle.
See you next week. Thanks for listening.
Now, go! Forgive me, but you look for me.